So this is another quick one, testing out the screencast. Taylor devices, which I did a video on, did really well. I started buying around 20, it went up to about 60, started coming down. I trimmed a lot between 50 and 60, about half my position, and I held the stuff that I bought earlier, and now it's in the 30s again. So I went from a 1% position to a half percent position, and now I'm sort of buying back. The quarter looked a little weak, and a lot of people sold, and that's why it went down from the 50s to the 30s. But once I dug into the 10Q, it didn't look so bad. So let's go over what looked bad and what didn't. So a couple of things stood out to me and that I didn't like, but I feel okay with it. So here's one. Uh, Accounts receivable, that went up a lot from 5 million to 8 million. That's how much money you're owed. And then inventory went up a little. So uh, that's something that's not great. And um, when we dig through this, let me pause for a second. Um, what we notice is that, let's see if I can find it. Right, so accounts receivable, here we go. It went from 5 million to 8 million. That's an increase of 58%. And the number of days outstanding also went up. It went up from 39 days to 87 days, which I don't like. So customers are taking longer to pay, and they claim that that is because the new billings were to customers in the structural market, not the aerospace or industrial, and for some reason that takes longer to collect from them. And if that is true, that's fine. But if it's not, it's always concerning if customers are taking longer to pay. Does that mean that they're having financial trouble? Does that mean that you're selling to people who aren't as credit worthy and it's harder to collect from them? But they claim that the uh, increase in amount of time it's taking to get paid is because their sales to a certain type of customer uh, are increasing. So industrial are, the factories, things like nuclear reactors, stuff like that. The aerospace is the landing gear that they make for the Predator drones and the Reaper drones, and the structural, which is what they're claiming is increasing and therefore taking longer to pay, are the giant dampers that look like shock absorbers that they use to make buildings earthquake resistant. So uh, that is the only concern that I had. The increase in inventory is okay because when I look through this, see if I can find it. It I want to just sit here and dig through this thing, but they claim that the increase in inventory, 88% of that is due to backlog. So contracts that they have signed, and they are building stuff for customers, and 88% of that increase in inventory then should flow to the bottom line. An increase in inventory would be concerning if you had something like you were selling motorcycles, or you were selling fashion apparel, or you were selling consumer electronics, because that means that the stuff isn't selling, and when it's sitting in the warehouse, it doesn't become more valuable, it becomes less valuable. But if you're increasing inventory because you have a bunch of new contracts, and all that inventory is eventually going to get uh, transmuted to cash on the balance sheet down the line, then that's fine. So the backlog has still increasing, and everything else looks pretty good. So I don't mind adding to my position here in Taylor devices, because let's just pull it up here. Um, as I said, currently the price is PE of 12, which, if you count the growing backlog, that looks pretty good. But if you look at the statistics, it's 104 million, but then when you back out the cash, it's 77 million. So about 25% of that is cash. So if you back out the cash, then you're not really paying a PE of 12. You're paying a PE of about 8, and you're paying a PE of about 8 for a company that's growing and has a growing backlog. It has military contracts and these two other segments. So the military uh, contracts quarter over quarter stayed flat, and I think people were banking on the military going up, and that's why it had shot up to the 60s. But the military spending doesn't tend to go down in Republican administrations, so I'm banking on that staying the same because drones are becoming a bigger, not smaller part of uh, modern warfare, and defense spending tends to stay the same or go up in Republican administrations, and you have a growing backlog here. You've got two red flags that I noticed. One is the increase in inventory, and two is the increase in days that it takes to get paid. And one of them is fine because if it's backlog, then the increase in inventories are eventually going to get converted to cash. And I was kind of on the fence about whether to believe this justification that the increase in the days is getting paid is because they are selling more to structural customers as opposed to industrial or military. But if you go to Form 4 Insider, which will show you insider buying, the CEO did recently purchase some shares, not a lot, 30,000, but it's a positive sign that if he didn't think that was a problem, would he be buying shares? So yeah, I wouldn't have any very small cap be a large position, but I think if you have a basket of uh, small profitable companies that are growing fast, like Taylor Devices, like Kraken Robotics, like some other ones that I'll do some videos on. I think if you've got a basket of these, you're fine. I wouldn't do 5 or 10% in these, but if you've got 1% in this one, 1% in that one, maybe 2% in a more profitable, promising one, that's fine. But when I look at Taylor Devices, it's very hard to get reliable info on them because they are someone who does a lot of business with the Pentagon. They're kind of secretive, so it's hard to get info on them or their competitors. But at these prices, I think I'm fine adding. There's some more interesting stuff out there, but I don't mind periodically adding to this on the dips. So that's Taylor Devices, and as I said, this is just me doing my process. It's not a recommendation to buy. It's not a recommendation to sell. I'm just keeping track of my thoughts contemporaneously with my actions.